Welcome to Grandaddy Speaks. I'm Andy Beverly, and today we're going to talk about the origin of sterile surgery and the origin of the thing that so many Americans use when they wash their mouth in the morning, Listerine. And that makes a kind of an interesting little thing to talk about for a few minutes. So let's go. There was an English doctor, and his name was Joseph Lister. Eventually, because of his good things he did, he became Sir Joseph Lister, but most people know that in England you got to be pretty good to be Sir anything or other. So here's what this doctor did. Experimenting and finding out about stuff that made people who had had successful surgery get infected and die really bothered him, and he thought about it and he thought about it, and he tried a few things, and he came to a conclusion that you could sterilize operating rooms and make things safe and free of germs and things that would make you sick and die after you'd had surgery and been fixed as far as the mechanics of it go, and then the infection set in and you didn't have a chance. And what he did was he took mild acid and he cleaned up the whole operating room, or had guys that worked for him clean up the ceiling, the corners, the floor, the operating table, everything. And then in each corner of the operating room, he had these little things that were run by steam that said whoosh, 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 and blew out tiny little puffs of vaporized carbolic acid. And the air even was purified. And his operations succeeded, and the people lived. And the doctors in England got so mad they couldn't stand it because they were wearing aprons. And when they finished one operation, they just wiped their hands on the aprons and then go right back in, no cleaning up to speak of, and operate on somebody else. And that was their habit and the way they thought. And when people are finding out a whole new way to do stuff, it makes them mad. So they threw Dr. Lister out of the association of doctors, and they acted like he was a bad person, a kind of a hoinky person, and they didn't like him. And yet a few doctors understood, and a few more understood, and a few more understood, until there were only the old grumpy ones that didn't understand, and they couldn't get any patients because they were all figuring they were going to die if they went to that guy. And so he made a change. He made a change in the whole world of medicine by using his head and having a heart for the patients. He cared about them more than he cared about whether his buddies that used to go fishing with him in the River Thames or something were mad at him or not. He wanted to do what was right. Remember that. Do what was right. Down in America, people were inventing some mouthwashes, and first they had just hot water and salt. Like Benjamin Franklin said, you ought to get salty hot water and wash your mouth every day. America's original genius, Benjamin Franklin, had all kind of good ideas about stuff. And that's not the worst thing in the world, but people came along and they invented some strong mouthwash that would really clean out your mouth and your teeth. And guess what? That first bunch of them named it Listerine, because after the great Lister, the idea of trying to help people with the medications that you had, started stealing his famous name. Thank you for listening to the story about Sir Joseph Lister.